Good morning.
Good morning.
And a happy National Day to you. Majulah Singapura. Anyway, God has blessed this country tremendously. Yeah. We have all and more than what we need. It is a blessed nation. But that is the present. We are here to look at the future and to look at the temple. The last time we were here, I gave you an introduction with a video or videos giving you an idea of what the temple is like. Don't know if you all went back and you all try to open up the notes, the PowerPoint, and see whether you can watch the video. Do you all try? Nobody complained that this you all didn't try. Because I realized I sent to you all in PDF format. So this afternoon or tonight I will upload the PowerPoint, not the PDF, so that you all can get to just touch the screen, and then yeah, you should be able to watch the video. Now we haven't really gone into chapter 40 yet. That was just an introduction. So just to recap before we start. Oh, it's not here. Okay, so just to recap, we are into these last 9 chapters of Ezekiel, and in these 9 chapters, the focus is on the temple, the new temple, the third temple, which will be constructed during the millennium. And chapters 40 to 42, we have a description of the temple. 43 to 46, we have a description of the worship in the temple. And then 47, 48, a description of the land of Israel. So Father, we want to come to you once again. Lord, we want to thank you first of all because your word is so profitable to us. Over the years, Lord, we have learned much from your word. And this morning we ask of more of the downloading of your word, revealing of your truth for our edification. In Jesus' name. Amen. So, as we look at the videos last week, and I gave you some introduction on the measurements and at least a layout of the temple and so on, we can't help but be impressed with the extensive and the extensiveness and the comprehensive plan that God has for the third temple. It only tells us one thing: God is a detailed person. Nothing comes by accident. He plans everything to the minute detail. So what is it that he doesn't care about you? He cares for you and I. He knows all the hair on your head and everything. So our lives are planned and measured by God. And we will study more of this even as we look into chapter 40. Going into the measurements and so on. And as I mentioned a couple of weeks back, initially when I first look at this, it is definitely more complex than when I taught about the tabernacle in the wilderness and also Solomon's temple. This is a bit more complex. But I will do my best. Okay. Thank God I'm an engineer by training. I think I harbor some knowledge still. But this is God's plan. And the thing we need to recognize is that Ezekiel wasn't an architect. He wasn't an architect. He was supposed to be a priest, then he became a prophet. You know, what does he know about all these technicalities? Nothing, except that God gave him the word and he recorded it for us. So we will do our very best to try and understand this. I've gone through quite a few Bible teachers, which I do. As I prepare each and every lesson, I'll study them, I'll read their commentaries and so on. And you know, quite a few Bible teachers whom I respect a lot. But when we come to chapters 40, 41, 42, you know what they say? these are just measurements. You can go back and read at your own time. Yeah, it's quite similar to the Solomon's temple and so on. Go back and read at your own time, and then they jump to the worship and then to the land of Israel. Not so. There are some things we can actually learn even as we go into the details of this construction of the temple, and you'll be amazed. It is just wonderful. Okay, so the vision, the east gate and north gate and all those, we'll go through them one by one as you see on the screen. Then I will make a lot of reference to this, because to me this is by far the most helpful diagram that I have in my Bible. So as we go to the different locations in the temple, we will come back to this. I hope you can see. That is about the clearest I can go. I snapped it from here, but I'll point it to you slowly nonetheless. Understand that this third temple is so much larger than it was in the field when it was the tabernacle out in the wilderness, and then Solomon's temple, and this was Herod's temple, which was built when the Romans came to power and so on, just to reconstruct a place for the Jews to worship, and that was during Jesus' time. But that was also torn down subsequently. Finally, this is the temple that will be built during the millennium. And as we go through all these dimensions and so on, it's so detailed, you know, 1 cubit here, 1 cubic there, and this and that. So there are scholars, if you go and study, there are scholars who say, oh, don't bother about this. These are the people who say, just keep the thing. Don't bother about this because this is symbolic. Symbolic, just a picture. Now, would God take Ezekiel through all the details, the measurements, the corner, and who is occupying which corner, and what's the height? Then some are extending outwards, increasing height, and so on. Would God go through all this just to say that it is symbolic? It is not symbolic. It shall be constructed during the millennium. But it is meant for the Israel, for the Israelites, for the Jews, not for us. Because the church would have been taken up and we will be in the new heaven. Then we went through this, the measurement. And then today we will be looking at this. Okay, shortly. Now, before we start, I'd like you to turn to Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12. Zechariah chapter 6, verse 12 and 13. Zechariah is the second last book. Sorry, chapter 6, verse 12. Then speak to him, saying, thus says the Lord of hosts, saying, behold, the man. And Zechariah, this prophet, is also in his book. He was also pointing us to the last days, Zechariah, if you remember. So he said, behold, the man whose name is the branch. And you know, who is this branch? Jesus. The man, capital M, whose name is the branch, from his place he shall branch out, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. So this plan of his is not just for Israel, it's for the whole world. Okay? And he shall build the temple of the Lord. Yes, he shall build the temple of the Lord. He shall bear the glory. He shall sit and rule on his throne. So he shall be a priest on his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between them both. So it gives us a picture of a time when he will be on the earth, he'll be ruling, he'll be sitting on the throne, and there shall be peace throughout the world. It hasn't happened yet. It is pointing towards the future. So, what happens to the church? The church has been raptured before this, would have been raptured before this. We are in the new heaven where there is no temple. But on the earth, this is for Israel and for the other nations which survived the tribulation. You know, there's a 7-year tribulation, the Antichrist and so on. After that, the devil, the Antichrist will be thrown into the devil will be thrown into the pit for 1,000 years. And during this 1,000 years millennium, this Jesus will be ruling on the earth, and Israel will be there, and those nations which survive the tribulation, they will also be there. But the church is up there. And those on the earth, there will be this temple, which we are going to study, where they will come and they will worship there. So, did I point to you Revelation 21 about where we will be in the last days? No, in the new Jerusalem where there is no temple. Yeah. So you must begin this study with the understanding. Otherwise, you get confused. So, am I there or am I here on the earth? Do I still go through all this temple worship and sacrifices and so? No, the church will have been raptured. And many say before the tribulation, and then after the tribulation, Jesus will come, we will come with him. Yeah, but this, whatever is going to be constructed in the 1,000 years and the people living there, they are not for us, we are up there. Okay? The rest will be here. So, with that context in place, let's start with verse 1. In the 25th year of our captivity. So, Ezekiel was saying, we were still in captive. We were still captives of Babylon. We were still in exile. So in the 25th year of our captivity, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was captured. And Ezekiel, you know, we've been studying so far, he is very precise with the dates, right? So you can't go wrong. So, he said 25th year of the captivity because he went earlier. He went in the second deportation. Daniel went in the first, he went in the second. And then, in 586, the city of Jerusalem was overtaken. The temple was destroyed, right? So that's why he said, in the 14th year after the city was captured, that makes it 573 BC. Okay, it should be 5, yeah. Even I can tell you the date, 28 April 573 BC. Okay, so on that very same day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he took me there. By now, we are not surprised. God had been giving Ezekiel free rights. He get translated from the north to the south to Jerusalem and so on. And that is not, just fiction. It is a fact. It happened. So he was given a tour to the south, in the south, of the temple that God will be building. So the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he took me there. In the visions of God, he took me into the land of Israel and set me on a very high mountain. So scholars are not sure, is this Mount Olive or Mount Zion? But doesn't matter, it is a high mountain. On it, toward the south, was something like the structure of a city. So he was given a vision. Now, you know what's the difference between a vision and a dream? No lah, one is when you are asleep, the other one when you are awake lah. Dream is you see something, but when you're sleeping. Vision is while you're awake, you see it. Though not there, but you see it. That is a supernatural. So, something, that's why he said something like the structure. Otherwise, he could have said, I looked south and I saw the city. Something like the structure of a city. He took me there, and behold, there was a man whose appearance was like the appearance of bronze. And if you look back in chapter 8, Ezekiel chapter 8, verse 2 and so on, no need to turn there, but you know this person with the appearance of bronze and so on is an angel. This person is an angel sent by God, and he is going to take Ezekiel through the structure from outer court to inner court and showing him the measurements. And he had with him, still on verse 3, he had a line of flax and a measuring rod in his hand, and he stood in the gateway. Now, a line of flax, that one is pretty long. It is for long measurements. But for shorter measurements, he had this measuring rod in his hands, which we studied. The last time we were here, we saw this. So this reed, in some Bible, they use reed, R-E-E-D. I think it's the King James Version. But in mine, it is rod. NIV, I'm not sure. What does it use? Reed or rod? Or you're all using New King James? No. Wow, you're good disciples. Okay, so it's 6 cubits. These are for shorter measurements. And he stood in the gateway. Now, one thing we need to some of the things I will point to you as we begin, so that you have a better understanding as we go into the measurements. The tabernacle and the Solomon's temple, the measurements, if you read again, they were measured by men, humans. But this third temple is measured by an angel. Okay, see the difference, measured by angel. In those tabernacle and the temple, they use 1 cubit. That cubic is this to this. Remember? 1 cubic, 18 inch. So practically out in the field, they just use this finger tip to the elbow. But in this third temple, they use the longer cubic. This one plus this one. Remember? The last time I showed you? Okay. So that's why the eventual structure is longer, bigger, as we saw, bigger than even the American football field. So that was God's intention, because the last temple that will be majestic. It is a picture of God's majesty. So back to chapter 40. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears and fix your mind on everything I show you. I underline, look, hear, and fix. And this is how we should when we come to the house of God. He is looking at the temple, right? The structure. And this is how we should when we come to the house of God. And we look unto God even in His house. We should look, we should hear, and we should fix our mind. But sometimes we come, it's like, it's a Sunday routine, you know. Since today got no golf game, right? No need to go marketing, right? Okay, now come. But you should come and you should see what God has in store for us. Maybe signs, maybe wonders, maybe just the worship and so on. And then you should hear the word from Him. Even as you fix your mind. But body here, spirit somewhere else. Or spirit here, body somewhere else. I don't know. Okay? So, and the other thing, as I mentioned earlier, Ezekiel wasn't an architect. So pay attention. You're not architect, but pay attention. So if God can make it as simple as it is, as it can be for Ezekiel, who was not an architect, You're also not architect, wow. So in other words, it is also meant for you. You can also understand it. Though some areas are big complex. But generally, we should have a good idea when we finish chapters 40, 41, and 42. So, to fix your mind on everything I show you. So don't be selective. This is not a buffet. Come to church, take everything God has for you. Don't pick and choose. For you were brought here so that I might show them to you. For you were brought here so that I might show them to you. So you were directed to the house of God so that God can show you. Because not everyone is directed. Or some people invited but don't want, decline. But you accepted and you were directed and you came. Ezekiel could have said, I don't want to go. If he had said this in chapter 8 and earlier, he wouldn't have chapter 40. You follow me? But over the years, he had been obedient. So come, I show you. And I like this last part. I like this last part. Declare to the house of Israel everything you see. Declare to the house of Israel everything you see. So you are to give out everything that has been revealed to you. And the same thing is for us to follow. You are to give out everything that has been revealed to you. But sometimes we just take. Some people just take. Go Bible study, go seminars, go conference, just then you see the head, the brain go bigger and bigger and bigger. And become so spiritual but of no earthly use. So I always urge my students, wherever I teach and so on, whatever you learn, go and share with others. Yeah. You can invite them to come to the class, you can go and listen to the recordings or whatever, but go and declare to them. You follow me? Because we are just vessels, we are channels of blessing. So it's good to receive and then declare. And what? Everything you see. You are not the Singapore Censorship Board. Filter, this one cannot, this one don't tell. So everything you know, share. You go back to your oikos, share. You go to the women's ministry, share. You go to any opportunity in the marketplace, share. Everything. You may not be able to do all the details, but enough to interest them. You want more, go and read this, go and listen to this, go and watch this video and so on. But at least you declare to them. Because I tell you, if you ask them to put up their hand in the church, tomorrow I'll ask them, how many have read the Old Testament? How many have gone past the 5 books of Pentateuch? When I come to prophets, I tell you, they are also prophetic, also fire. Nobody will say anything. So we have the opportunity, we know we share. So, now he starts, verse 5. Okay, starts the tour. Now there was a wall all around the outside of the temple. So we make it easy. There are many things to show. Okay, let me show you this one easy. Okay. Or this one.
Okay.
I put so many diagrams so you can choose. Okay. So this is a wall outside. Wall is to keep the enemies out. But this is a temple. So this is within the city, right? So own people. So it is to keep what is sacred in and what is not sacred out. There must be a separation, otherwise you feel like just walk in, walk out. No. It is not a playground. It is not a recreational ground. It's not like botanical garden. You feel like walking in, just walk in and walk out. Okay, so there is a wall all around the outside of the temple. In the man's hand was a measuring rod 6 cubits long. Okay, so measuring rod 6 cubits long. This one. And you see, they stop here, and then dot, 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 dot. Because this cubic is not the normal cubic. It is this plus the handbreadth. So, each a cubic and a handbreadth. It is stated there in the Bible very clearly. So, this rod got 6 cubits long, and each being a cubic and a handbreadth. And he measured the width of the wall structure, 1 rod, and the height, 1 rod. So now he wants to measure the wall, right? Start with the wall. Start with the wall. First thing we see, start with the wall. So what is the width? So I got this picture for you. You say, this one look like wall, man. Yeah, but it's just in that color drawn, easier for you to see. So you see, this is the wall, yeah, and so here height is 1 cubic, and here is 1 cubic. With 6 cubic. Let's read this again. So, and he measured the width of the wall structure, 1 rod, and the height, 1 rod. So the height is how many rods? 1 rod. Correct? 1 rod, 6 cubic. I'm seeing rod and read. Okay, they are the same. Okay. So that is the first introduction to the structure. But we know this whole temple is a complete square structure. 500 cubics by 500 cubics. But we will come to that. So now we go on to verse 6. Now, his tour is going to start this way. East, and then he goes to the north, and then he comes to the south. Okay? From the east, he goes to the north, and then he comes to the south. And then after that, he goes into the inner court. Is there any gate on the west? No. There is no gate on the west. So, this is the western end. There. This is the east. You see this blue thing here? We will come to this in the last the river of life, flowing out from the center, from the sanctuary. So this is the east. Finish with this, he goes to the north, and then he comes to the south, and then he goes in there. Now, you will find they are symmetrical, but still they are described to us. Symmetrical, that means same. Opposite image. So, verse 6. So, then he went to the gateway which faced east, and he went up its stairs, measured the threshold of the gateway, which was 1 rod wide. So, he came to the stairs, okay, and he went in and measured the threshold. The threshold, what is the threshold? The threshold is when you climb up the stairs, this is the first area as you enter the temple. Just like you enter the church, there's like an entrance area. That is called the threshold. So as you climb up the steps here, and this is called the threshold, and this is 1 rod, 6 cubics. And the other threshold was 1 rod wide. Yeah. So there's one threshold here, and there's one threshold at the other end. Because this structure is up to here. So there's one threshold here and one threshold on the other side. So you see this color here, one color there. Follow so far? You all can be engineers. You fail, then you become architect. Verse 7. Now I'm trying to make it as simple as I can for you. So I would love for you to understand this easy. So each gate chamber was 1 rod long and 1 rod wide. Now, what are all these gate chambers? These are guard rooms. These are guard rooms. So you see here, inside here are guard rooms. Inside. There are security guards. And this is the third temple. That means everyone who comes in, you will be observed and you'll be checked whether you are of good intention or bad intention. You follow me? So it is perfectly alright for the church to have security. Because you know why? The enemy is up to no good. The enemy will always come and have other plans. So even in the third temple, there is chamber. So, of course, during the millennium, the devil is locked up and so on. But sometimes, don't need to blame the devil, because it is man's own desire. So it's man's fault. So you look inside. So you see these chambers. You can see guard room, guard room, guard room. And then dimension. See? One reed wide from one to the other, and 1 reed deep, 1 rod deep. So 6 cubits wide and 6 cubits deep. I think 6 cubits quite comfortable lah. Yeah. You never do guard room duty before, is it? Go and volunteer for NS. There you go. So each gate chamber was 1 rod long and 1 rod wide. Between the gate chambers was a space of 5 cubits. So from one chamber to the next chamber, the space is 5 cubits. Just good to know. And the threshold of the gateway by the vestibule of the inside gate was 1 rod. So the threshold, so just now in front, we came in here, right? So in front here, from the entrance, there's 1 threshold. This is the other threshold. So this is the pointing to the inner gate there. So this threshold is 1 rod. So actually I thought the threshold should have been nearer here, but it doesn't matter. And the threshold of the gateway by the vestibule of the inside gate was 1 rod. He also measured the vestibule of the inside gate. Vestibule. You know what's that? That's a porch. It means a porch. It means a porch. So it means like some area here that is covering the porch. But don't worry if you don't understand. Okay? It's just an area covering. He also measured the vestibule of the inside gate 1 rod. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway 8 cubits and the gate post 2 cubits. Now some I can find diagrams, some I cannot find diagrams. Then you imagine. But important to know that as you enter this, okay, this diagram better. As you enter this structure, God is even concerned about this. And there are guard rooms, chambers. And this chamber, if you look from the top view, there are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Outside, inside. So verse 9. Then he measured the vestibule of the gateway 8 cubits of the gate, and the gate post 2 cubits. The vestibule of the gate was on the inside. In the eastern gateway, which we are at, were 3 gate chambers. Yeah, you see, on one side and 3 on the other side. The 3 were all of the same size. Also, the gate posts were of the same size on this side and that side. Simple? Easy. Imagine if you do all this. Because when God gave the word, He never gave diagram. So if you read and study this on your own, I tell you, it's a very good bedtime story. Sure sleep. So actually all this very easy. You just go Google pictures of Ezekiel chapter 40. Then all these pictures will come out. You got to choose. Got so many pictures, but you choose. He measured the width of the entrance to the gateway, 10 cubits. 10 cubits. So that means here to here, 10 cubits. And the length of the gate, 13 cubits. So what it is, what he's saying is here to here and here. Okay. So he measured the width of the entrance to the gateway, 10 cubits, and the length of the gate, 13 cubits. There was a space in front of the gate chambers, 1 cubit on this side and 1 cubit on that side. The gate chambers were 6 cubits on this side and 6 cubits on the other side. 6. Okay. If I find a diagram, I point to you. But if I don't, then the measurements are just there. Just know these are the chambers. Verse 13. Then he measured the gateway from the. Now he has gone to the roof. You see, God is concerned about the inside as well as on the outside. He's concerned about you. We are complete in Him. Verse 13. Then he measured the gateway from the roof of one gate chamber to the roof of the other. The width was 25 cubits. You can see up there. From one to the other, 25 cubits from the roof of one end to the other. The width was 25 cubits as door faces door. He measured the gate posts 60 cubits high. So this structure is 60 cubits high. And the court all around the gateway extended to the gate post. So the court all around extended. So this one here extend all the way to the gate post. From verse 15, from the front of the entrance gate to the front of the vestibule of the inner gate was 50 cubits. So what is this saying? So from the front of the entrance gate to the front of the vestibule of the inner gate was 50 cubits. So I assume it's here to here. Outer gate, from here to here, inner gate, 50 cubits. Verse 16, there were bevel window frames. I'll show you bevel window frames in the gate chambers and in the intervening archways on the inside of the gateway all around, and likewise in the vestibules. So in those days, God also thought about bevel windows. So the window is not like this so boring. You know, God design. Later I'll show you. You remember, because there's another paragraph somewhere, it describes the window. So, nice windows. There were windows all around on the inside, and on each gate post were palm trees. You saw that? Palm trees carved into the wall. Because palm tree, you know, it's a picture of palm. You know, palm trees are known for their endurance, durability, and palm trees, as they age, they become more fruitful. And palm tree offers rest for birds of the air. They like to come and rest because it's very dependable, durable. And then animals and beasts below, they get shade under the palm trees. So you know why God chose palm tree. Yeah. So, where are we? So we are still, okay, verse 17. Then he brought me into the outer court. Then he brought me into the outer court. Because what he has is just describing entrance, and then the chamber, all this security post, and now he steps into this. This is the outer court. Inner court is there. This is the outer court. So he steps inside this area. Wow, it is big. 500 cubics. I believe it is like almost 1.5 kilometer. 1.5 kilometer. Yeah, big. So, and then he brought me into the outer court, and there were chambers and a pavement all around the court. So you see, these are chambers. Chambers, and there's a path for them to walk. So these are for you when you visit, you want to stay one night, this chamber is for you. So these are constructed and for storage, or even for the people to stay, worshippers, or even the priests. And a pavement all around. 30 chambers face the pavement. So 30. Why 30? 10, 10, 10. At the back don't have. Okay? So 10 on each side, so you have 30 chambers. Verse 18, the pavement was by the side of the gateways, corresponding to the length of the gateway. So what it means is corresponding same length as the gate to the pavement. The pavement was by the side of the gateways, corresponding to the length of the gateways. This was the lower pavement. Lower, and this is higher. So you see, you must understand this. When you step into the most holy place is in there, right? As you step, you find that you'll be going higher. And you will find later, I'll show you the measurements. As you go even into the most holy place, it becomes narrower. Why? Because you're entering into God's presence. You're going into a sanctified place. You're going to a sacred place. It is the straight and the narrow. You follow me? The wide, where all the foolish people will go. But those who fear the Lord, the straight and the narrow. And you have to climb up, go up. It's not just simply walking in, have a good time, a party, and then you walk out. This is holy ground. So, the pathway was the lower pavement, verse 19. Then he measured the width from the front of the lower gateway to the front of the inner court exterior, 100 cubits toward the east and the north. So, what he's saying is, he measured from here, I think from here to here. Okay, I think it could be here. 100 cubics, 100 cubics. So he's measuring. Then he measured the width from the front of the lower gateway, to the front of the inner court exterior. The inner court exterior. So from here to here, 100 cubics. Towards the east. So one is toward the east. one is toward the east, the other one is toward the north. So to tell you they are the same, 100 cubic. So afterwards he will say that this one and this one the same. So the whole thing is a square structure, symmetrical. And God gave such clear instructions, you can't miss it. Verse 20. Now, verse 20, we finish the east gate. Now we come to the north gate. So north gate is here. On the outer court was also a gateway facing north. And he measured its length and its width, its gate chambers, 3 on this side and 3 on that side. Similar, right? Inside here, what? 3 on one side, 3 on the other side for the guards. Its gate posts and its archways had the same measurements as the first gate, which is the same as this gate. Its length was 50 cubits and its width 25 cubits. Its windows and those of its archways and also its palm trees had the same measurements as the gateway facing the east. So exactly the same as the east. It was ascended by 7 steps. Oh, we did not count. Yeah? 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why 7? Perfect. Stairway to heaven. Okay, 7. Its steps were 7, ascended by 7 steps, and its archway was in front of it. A gate of the inner court was opposite the northern gateway, just as the eastern gateway. So facing here is an inner gateway. This is the outer, this is inner. So here also got gate. So same as this one and this one. So where am I? Okay. Its length was 50 cubits and width 25 cubits. Its windows and those of its archways and also its palm trees had the same measurements as the gateway facing east. It is ascended by 7 steps and its archway was in front of it. A gate of the inner court was opposite the northern gate, just as the eastern gateway. And he measured from gateway to gateway 100 cubits. Like what we saw just now. So from gateway to gateway is 100 cubits. So we are done with the north gate. So after the north gate is the what? South gate. Same. After that he brought me toward the south. And there a gateway was facing south, and he measured its gate posts and archways according to these same measurements. There were windows in it, and in its archways all around, like those windows. Its length was 50 cubits and its width 25 cubits. 7 steps led up to it, and its archway was in front of them. And it had palm trees on its gate posts, one on this side and one on that side. There was also, now we finish with the south gate. Here, done. But you ask, why God? Why don't you just say the east gate and then after that the rest all the same? Singaporeans would be like that, right? But the fact that God went this and then the north and south, there are no shortcuts. No shortcuts. So your walk with Christ, don't take shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. You think suddenly on Sunday you can just open the Bible and preach. And I tell you, some people do that. Because I've been hosting guests in my house, and then on Sundays they go and preach, and Saturday nights they chit chat, do then Sunday open Bible as the Spirit leads. There are no shortcuts. You have to pay the price. Whether it's worship, you see, I really admire them. They have to prepare on Saturday and afternoon, the whole day. Then they come and do on Sunday. Then Wednesday night we come at 8 p.m. for work or prayer meeting. Actually, they come at 7 to prepare. And so there are no shortcuts. And as we go through all this, don't just, these are just measurements. Skip. We go and read. There are lessons God wants to teach us, and it is no shortcuts. So now we finish with this, and then now we go to the inner gate of the south gate. I mean, since we are already here, God will not ask, we start from here. Since we are already here, we must go on to here. So there was verse 27, and there was also a gateway on the inner court. So from outer court, we are going into the inner court, facing south. And he measured from gateway to gateway toward the south, 100 cubics. So from this to this, 100 cubics. Then he brought me to the inner court. So he brought me to the inner court. So this is outer court, we all know, right? Yeah. But only the priest can go inside here, the inner court, just like in Solomon's temple. Only the priest. So this is again, you see there's a separation. So not anyone can just simply walk in. You cannot, only the priest can. So to go into the inner court. Then he brought me to the inner court through the southern gate. He measured the southern gateway according to this same measurements. Also, it's, so in other words, this one and this one quite similar. Also, its gateways, its gate posts, its archways were according to these same measurements. There were windows in it and its archways all around. It was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. 50 cubits long, 25 cubits wide. Got it? Simple. Same. I'm really scared of turning. Every time I turn, I come back, I don't know where am I. Okay, let me just, verse 29, yeah? Okay. Also his gate chambers, his gate posts, his archways were according to these same measurements. There were windows in it, and his archway all around, 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide, 30. There were archways all around, 25 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. Its archways faced the outer court. Palm trees were on its gate posts, and going up to it were 8 steps. So you look for 8 steps. You can see.
Steps. Ask for this. Clean up the inner courts.
No, that is the east gate. As I mentioned, not some of the diagrams are okay. This is another diagram, eastern gate. Now we're looking at southern gate. So this is like just now there were 7 steps here, right? 7 steps. So the 8 steps will be here. I can't find you a closer diagram, but we know it is there. Okay? There were archways all around. Archways all around. So yeah. So again, it's not like anyone can just walk in. So there were archways all around the inner court. 25 cubits long and 5 cubits wide. Its archways faced the outer court. Palm trees were on its posts. So all these archways you can't see, but there are palm trees on the walls. And going up to it were 8 steps. Now we come to the east gate. So after he finished with this, he moved to this. This is the east gate, inner gate. This is the east outer gate. This is the east inner gate. So there will be 8 steps here also. So, and he brought me into the inner court facing east. He measured the gateway according to these same measurements. Also its gate chambers, its gate posts, and its archways were according to these same measurements. And there were windows in it. And in its archways all around, it was 50 cubits long and 25 cubits wide. Its archways faced the outer court, and palm trees were on its gate posts on this side and on that side. And going up to it were 8 steps. Why 8? If 7 is perfect, why 8? What is 8? Say again. 8 is a new beginning. 8 represents new beginning. Okay? So, because 7 is complete, 7 is perfect, then 8 is a new beginning. They are entering into the inner court. So, after this, from here, goes to the north gate. Again, no shortcut. God is repeating, but it is to tell us no shortcut. Then he brought me to the north gate and measured it according to these same measurements. Also its gate chambers, its gate posts, and its archways. It had windows all around. Its length was 50 cubits and its width 25 cubits. Its gate posts faced the outer court. Palm trees were on its gate posts on this side and on that side, and going up to it were 8 steps. God has to tell them all this. Be very specific. You know why? Man being man, he do one year. Hey, but God never say anything about this one. That means we all free and easy. We do, suka-suka, do what we like. Isn't it so? Man, right? So if God just talk about this and say, okay, and then silent about these two, you assume that they will comply, but you come and see, hey, this one different, this one and this one different from this one. So he is very specific. So our walk with him must be consistent. Not just Sunday special and then other days even more special. Okay? Consistent. Now, we are done with that. Now I'm going to come to 38 and you will see, wow, this is quite different. So I suggest you want to take a break or you want to continue? Wow, God, so exciting. Okay. Nobody told me Ezekiel chapter 40 so exciting. Okay, there was a chamber, verse 38, there was a chamber and its entrance by the gate post, and there was a chamber and its entrance by the gate post of the gateway where they washed the burnt offering. So, what verse 38 is saying? There is one gateway where they will be washing the offering. There will be an offering that will be burnt, but before the offering is burnt, it shall be washed. In the vestibule of the gateway were 2 tables on this side and 2 tables on that side, on which to slay the burnt offering, the sin offering, and the trespass offering. So you look, okay, we look at okay, so just now we saw this, all these are the gateways with the palm trees. Yeah, we saw this. This is okay. This one is the inner gate, so this one will have the 8 steps. So I think go la, you come closer and see. 8 steps. Okay. Same thing, east gate. Yeah, you count actually got 8 steps. Inner gate. Then the north gate.